Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to the Coffee, Health, and Science Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, I urge you to share the show. Share the Coffee, Health, and Science Podcast with a coffee lover, or with a peer, or with a friend. It's how we grow. You guys spreading the show really, really helps us out. Give us a good rating and review if you have the time. I really appreciate it, folks. Today's episode is a unique one. It's a very special episode. It's just you and me today, one-on-one, and the topic for today's show is coffee from around the world. We're taking a close look at some of the most unique ways that coffee is prepared in a variety of fascinating cultures from around the globe. And these recipes range from sounding absolutely delicious to just plain bizarre. So settle in, make sure you've got a fresh, hot mug nearby. I know I do. As we dive in to this exploration of coffee from around the world. Our first stop, Europe. Portugal, to be more specific. A country that was crucial to bringing more coffee into the European nations and cultures. You see, way back in 1727, a cunning soldier named Francisco de Mayo Palheta, who was stationed in South America at the time, was supposedly single-handedly responsible for bringing the bean to Portugal. Legend has it that neighboring French Guiana was a major part of the exploding coffee industry in the 1700s, but they did not want to export their beans to their rival of Brazil. Well, Palheta, the dirty dog, ended up going to French Guiana from Brazil where he was stationed. And he ended up seducing a governor's wife while visiting French Guiana, and he convinced her to give him some coffee seeds of his own. She gave him a parting gift of a bouquet of flowers to see him off back to Europe, but hidden inside were some tiny coffee seeds. A rich history of coffee in Portugal indeed, but do you know the official Portuguese way to take your coffee? For ages, the coffee lover's beverage of choice in Portugal is mazagran. Mazagran is a crisp and refreshing take on iced coffee made by combining your favorite espresso with some fresh lemon juice or even lemon soda, providing a unique twist to your summer iced coffee drink. Mazagran originated in Algeria, but traditionally used just water and ice. It was the Portuguese who added the delicious lemon twist that is still popular today in the region. And the Portuguese aren't the only culture to pair lemon with coffee, so I think they're really onto something with this combo. In fact, a proper espresso romano comes with a slice of lemon on the side. A true Italian espresso has lemon paired with it, which is said to bring out the Java's sweeter flavors. So who knew? Our next destination should be a familiar one if you've listened to the show before. The next culture we're featuring drinks the most coffee per capita out of anybody on the planet. We're headed to Finland, where folks drink an astounding 12 kilograms of coffee per capita per year. In Finland, it's not abnormal to have 8 or 9 cups of coffee throughout the day. And what more interesting way to take it than the way that you can find coffee being brewed in Finland to this day? With cheese. That's right, cheese. Kaffeost, known as squeaky Finnish cheese in the USA, is hot coffee poured over chunks of juustoleipä, that's cheese curds in Finland. While it may sound unappealing, the Finnish people adore this unique combination. They absorb it, quote, like rich, moist cheese sponges. The following is from 10best.com. Kaffeost is a traditional food of the Sami. The Sami are indigenous people of the Sapmi. That's the region that extends across northern Scandinavia and into Russia and overlaps much of the Swedish Lapland. Customarily made with reindeer milk, though cow's milk is often substituted, Kaffeost has a neutral taste and a smooth, slightly dry texture. It also has a high melting point and is baked to achieve a glossy, golden exterior before finding its way into many a cup of coffee. In the Swedish Lapland, more often than not, that cup that it's in is a beautiful guksi, a hand-carved wooden mug made from birch burl. Tradition dictates that the coffee is always boiled, never brewed. Ideally, it is prepared over an open fire, and a few cubes of cheese are always a welcome addition. Combining cheese and coffee sounds odd, but the two ingredients are a natural fit. And reading more, it seems like you're supposed to take Kaffeeost with a pastry. And honestly, if you're going to have 9 cups of caffeinated coffee throughout the day, maybe the satiating cheese would level you out. Kind of makes it more filling, more balanced. This is something that I absolutely must try. I am adding this one to the bucket list, 100%. Next, we're headed to Eurasia, where we've already explored an ancient coffee culture before. If you remember back to our ancient coffee history episodes, Turkic ruler Murad IV hated all things psychoactive, banning alcohol, tobacco, and coffee in ancient Turkey. He was even said to personally decapitate unsuspecting coffee drinkers who he snuck up on in the streets. Be sure to go back and give that one a listen if you haven't heard that episode already, or go enjoy it a second time. It's really worth it. But here we are again, back in the incredible nation known as Turkey, where coffee has been prepared the same way for hundreds of years. Now remember, we said in the coffee houses they would take their coffee piping hot, because the Turkish coffee houses is where they would meet and discuss, dissension and politics and religion and philosophy. It was a hotbed of debate and conversation, and you wanted to stay there with your 1 cup of coffee for as long as possible, sipping on it slowly. So Turkic coffee always served piping hot. In fact, there's a few things that go into making the special Turk kahvesi, as it's called. Finely ground coffee beans, simmered in a special copper or brass pot called a çezve. Turk kahvesi is special in that it's prepared unfiltered, so all the grounds settle to the bottom. Yes, that means that you will drink the entire coffee and you will drink some of the grounds in your piping hot Turk kahvesi. Now we'll continue our journey eastward, all the way across the Asian steppe into the jungles of Vietnam. First introduced to the Vietnamese in 1857, coffee has become a staple of this vibrant and unique culture ever since. In fact, Vietnam often ranks in at the number 2 largest coffee producer in the world, behind Brazil. It may surprise you. And Robusta beans end up making up 97% of those coffee exports. The Vietnamese people aren't just cultivators of the bean, though. They know how to make a delicious brew as well, in their own special way. The way they prepare it, I'm going to do my best on this pronunciation. The cà phê đá is both unique and delicious. Known to be very sweet and very strong, this Vietnamese treat, this iced coffee, is made with coarsely ground dark roast beans, which is brewed straight into a cup of condensed milk and ice. A special filter is required, known as a fin filter, and this filter sits right on top of the cup, full of milk and ice, for instance, and allows the brewer to brew his java directly into his drinking cup, making a powerful, sweet, and robust cà phê đá. Now, let's paradoxically end our exploration in the land of the rising sun, Japan. Japan loves its coffee. It may surprise you to find out that, in fact, the very first evidence of true cold brew coffee, made with cold water, comes from Japan. In fact, it's still popular today, and it's known as Kyoto-style coffee now, which is a form of cold brew coffee, and it's named for its popularity in Kyoto, Japan. And it's actually clear to history that the Japanese were brewing coffee this way in the beginning of the 1700s. So this is an old method and something that they've honed over the years, and they take it very, very seriously. Making Kyoto-style cold brew requires contraptions that look like a series of laboratory beakers. To start, the filtered water slowly drips over the coarse grounds, similar to a French press, but we are talking very, very slowly. The cold brew glassware looks like something out of a lab. It's got 3 sections: the water chamber on top, the column of coffee grounds in the middle, and the carafe at the base. Now, brewing a pot of Kyoto cold brewed coffee can take between 6 and 24 hours. One recipe calling for 10 hours of brewing, as the 3,000 grams of cold filtered water has to drip through all those grounds at only 1 drip per second. And while a Kyoto-style coffee maker can be pricey, the smooth, flavorful result served over ice might be just what you are looking for in your cold brew. We've got some great honorable mentions here. Going to Malaysia, they serve yuanyang, and this is a drink that can be served hot or cold, and it consists of 3 parts black coffee and 7 parts Hong Kong-style milk tea, which is a mix of black tea and milk together. Now, this recipe particularly intrigues me, having spoken to Dr. Coffee and knowing the benefits of tea. I'm sure he wouldn't be such a fan of all that milk, but if you're combining your black tea and the tea caffeine and the tea antioxidants with your coffee and the antioxidants from the coffee, that could be a powerful drink, yuanyang, in Malaysia. Headed back west, you can pick up some Farisier in Germany. I did my best there. This is a decadent drink, and it's made with coffee, rum, and sugar, topped with whipped cream and chocolate shavings, of course. Got to get that German chocolate on top of your coffee. That sounds like a delicious treat, hailing straight from Germany. And finally, a wonderful little addition, a way to spice up your coffee, if you will, is just plain spiced coffee. Very, very popular in Morocco. This is how they do it over there, and they put together a fragrant blend of dark coffee and warm spices like cardamom, black pepper, clove, nutmeg, and even cinnamon. Spiced coffee from Morocco, a great way to change up and enhance your morning brew. That's all for today's exploration. I could do more of these. This was really, really fun. A little bit of history, a little bit of brewing talk, and a little bit of travel. I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me exploring coffees from all around the globe. I'm probably going to do a follow-up episode. I look forward to bringing you more coffee content here shortly, more health content. Stay tuned, stay subscribed. I appreciate every single one of you folks. Until next time, this is Jordan River signing off, saying have an extraordinary day out there, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Coffee, Health, and Science Podcast. Bye-bye.